Me Gets Around is known for her candid off-grid van life adventures, usually filled with humor and the quiet pleasures of solo travel. Me often finds charm in the everyday, from experimenting with new ways to cook over a fire, to watching classic TV shows in her van, while boondocking in the wilderness. During one solo trip, along the forested back roads near North Carolina's Linville Gorge, a day that had begun peacefully suddenly took a tense turn. The vlog opens with me easing into her morning as usual, parked at a scenic but remote campsite with no cell service, savoring the freedom of staying wherever she pleases. Yet despite the calm, there's an unusual energy around the site. She notes that her camp is the very first one you reach after turning off the main forest road, a spot that has attracted more than a few unexpected visitors. Some people pull in, pause briefly, and then leave without explanation, leaving her to wonder what they're searching for. Later, she sets out for a walk down the forest road, a path that quickly starts to feel far too remote for comfort.
A few steps in. It did rain for a little while. Made for a wonderful lazy day. I'm gonna see if I can make it a little farther this time. All right. Let's go see. I don't know why I'm so freaked out. I feel like, what if it's a driveway or something? And I'm gonna keep going, but... Okay, so now I'm at the part where you can't see where you came from, and you can't see where you're going. Okay, so I've already walked about a quarter mile. Getting pretty deep in the forest with no signal. I'm gonna go around this bend, and if there's nothing, I'm gonna turn around. Those are my shoe prints. And they're pretty fresh. They're pretty fresh. I'm trying to be funny about it, but also I'm like a little bit like low key. Come on. Turn around. We're going back. Yeah. I definitely came back way quicker than I went down. No reason. I wasn't scared. It started getting real weird. Weird sounds. So, 360. All right, 180. 180. Oh, you're still there, thank God.
Back at camp, Me began preparing dinner and getting settled for the night when a woman suddenly pulled into the clearing and called out to her, asking for help.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm a little lost, and I'm hoping maybe you can kind of help me.
Yeah, what's up?
So my kid he's 20,
Uh-huh.
but he was hiking around the Linville Gorge, and this is telling me to turn here and go obviously through that gated area, which doesn't look like a thing,
Yeah, no.
to get to his pen. He pinned me there.
Okay, well I'm assuming you did a trail, right? Like a marked trail.
Yeah, but he said he was like on the side of a road, and he's throwing up, and he's like, come get me. I just drove from Raleigh
Oh, dang.
in my work clothes.
Oh my gosh, so you really are?
Yeah, I was like, I'll be right there.
Oh god, yeah, that's far. Okay.
Do you have
I guess he doesn't know anyone out this way that would have something.
So he traveled up here by himself.
Oh.
Thought he'd be all like crazy.
Well, we've got quite the situation. Apparently, down that road that I was just walking down, about 2.5 miles, her son is very sick and needs her to come get them, but she can't get past the gate. And there's no other entrance way because I just hooked up my Starlink to see. There's no other way down there than through that gate, which is very locked. So she's calling 911 now to see if they can come help.
The woman was visibly distressed. Her 20-year-old son, hiking alone deep in the forest, had called her in a panic. Vomiting and dehydrated, he had managed to drop a GPS pin, but she couldn't get past the locked service gate leading into the trail system. Having driven 4 hours from Raleigh, still in her work clothes, she was desperate to reach him. Mimi immediately stepped in. She invited the mother to sit by her fire and used her Starlink satellite connection to confirm the boy's location. Soon, emergency services arrived. First responders, EMS, and forest personnel, all coordinating a swift response. The scene came alive with vehicles moving in and out of the campsite, radios crackling through the trees. The boy was eventually located about 3 miles down the service road, weak but alive. Fortunately, one of the responders had a key to the gate. Rather than waiting for a stretcher evacuation, they allowed the mother to drive in and retrieve her son herself. He refused a hospital visit, choosing to recover at home instead. What had started as a peaceful day in the woods had turned into a high-stakes rescue, but it ended with relief and safety. Like always, let me know what you thought of this encounter. On May 21st, 2025, the channel Eleanor Grace Adventures uploaded a new video featuring solo traveler and content creator Eleanor Grace, who chronicles her quiet explorations across the UK. Known for finding beauty in the remote and overlooked, Eleanor usually shares peaceful and serene experiences. But in this particular video, what begins as a calm, wild swim in a hidden Dartmoor quarry quickly takes a darker turn. The video opens with Eleanor explaining her plan. "Good evening, everyone," she begins, setting the scene for an adventure that soon becomes far more unsettling than expected.
Good evening, everyone. You're joining me on the way. Well, we already are on Dartmoor, but we're heading somewhere that I've never been to before, but I really wanted to check out this evening. I was really looking forward to a sunny evening with a potential sunset, and it's just gone incredibly grey. Perfect timing.
Turn left to stay on B3357.
And that is how this happened. We're off. Got my coffee. Where's my mic? Hang on. Okay. Shall I hold this? Shall I put this? Who knows? Beautiful grey evening in the middle of Dartmoor. I wanted to do an evening hike and I was looking on my All Trails app for somewhere really nice on Dartmoor. I also wanted to check out the area I'm in for the possibility of doing a wild camp on a tour somewhere, because I've never actually done one like properly before in the actual wild. And Dartmoor, yeah, Dartmoor would be very interesting to say the least. Whilst I was checking out my All Trails app, I came across this place. And it's an old mining quarry, which is literally, now I'm not too sure if it's this one or there. Beautiful hike with old buildings and stuff like that. Getting a bit boggy, but worth it. She could have just avoided it, but no, she goes right through it. People have said that it's a very unusual and cool looking place to go for a wild swim. You know me, right? If there's a very weird or cool or beautiful place for me to take a dip, I'm gonna do it. I've brought the stuff with me in my backpack to do that. It is meant to start raining at some point this evening, so to be honest, if it does, even better. Oh, this is a very cute little stream. This is lovely.
Eleanor set out on a simple evening hike through Dartmoor National Park, drawn by the promise of an abandoned quarry she had discovered on her All Trails app. She had been contemplating wild camping in the area, and this outing served a dual purpose: to scout the location and to take a refreshing swim in what others had described online as a strikingly unusual yet beautiful spot. The evening was gray and overcast, the air still and quiet, with only the sounds of sheep and the rough terrain around her breaking the silence.
Oh look, I don't want to get close to them because I don't want to scare them. She's got a little one with her. And you're just peering at me from behind that bush. Hello. This place is very Tomb Raider. I think that's why I like it. Yeah, I know you do too. It's all right. I don't want to get kicked in the face by a sheep. Oh. It's all right. It's okay. Hello. Yeah, this definitely looks quarry-like, doesn't it? I think we might be nearly there. Oh.
After carefully making her way through deep bogs and marshy paths, Eleanor finally came upon the hidden quarry, its still waters tucked away, like a secret waiting to be discovered.
You have got to be kidding me. What a hidden gem. Oh, bless him. Right, I'm just going to stand still and let him run. It's quite eerie, actually. Yeah, I don't... Hello? 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 Yeah, I don't think that there is anyone else here. Apart from the sheep. Look. I really do want to get in there. I'm going to go for it. It's worth it. I get something starts sucking on my leg. As gross as that sounds. How cold are we talking? It's not too bad. Let me get over there. It's a little bit cold. It's not too bad though. There are a lot of tadpoles and everything around me and like little lizardy type things. I haven't seen any leeches yet. We're being joined by sheep. I'm going to have to move my bags just in case they try and eat it.
At first, the scene feels almost magical. The still water, framed by jagged rocks and thick overgrowth, looks like something straight out of a Tomb Raider adventure. Despite the eerie silence, Eleanor decides to take a swim, slipping behind the rocks to undress and carefully easing herself into the cold water. But it isn't long before an unsettling feeling begins to creep over her, a quiet sense that something isn't quite right.
Oh God. The rocks are quite high and jagged. It's not overly deep. So you've got to be careful where you're putting your legs really, or kicking your legs to swim. Oh, this is so nice though. Loads and loads of like planes and military helicopters and stuff above me. There's a really, really weird noise coming from up there. I don't know if someone's wild camping and pumping up something, because that's what I can hear. It sounds like that. Either that or it's extremely loud, heavy panting. God, I hope it's someone wild camping. Anyway, Dartmoor is like a military training base. They do a lot of training around here basically, so I had to check the times for when they were doing that. There's various areas on Dartmoor where you can wild camp, and this falls under one of the legal areas you can do it. Yeah, it was coming from up there. It is pretty eerie when you're on your own. Oh my God, oh God. I can still stand up.
While swimming, Eleanor began hearing strange, rhythmic sounds coming from the upper ridgeline, mechanical like something being pumped or dragged. At first, she assumed it was another camper, but the noise didn't stop. It repeated irregularly, always distant, yet unnervingly close, like heavy breathing or a machine, completely out of place in this remote spot. She pushed through the unease, watching lizards dart through the brush, joking on camera about being watched, until she realized the sound had grown louder, even as she dressed behind the rocks. As darkness fell, finding her way back became a struggle. The marshy ground that led her in now felt like a trap. Deep bogs, thick reeds, and slick rocks made every step uncertain. Her boots were soaked, and for a few tense moments she was genuinely lost, retracing paths she hadn't memorized. Eventually, she reached her car near the edge of Dartmoor, and later made it home safely. Even at home, the oppressive feeling lingered. The quarry wasn't just eerie, it felt alive, like unseen eyes were tracking her from the ruins, rocks, or water. She compared it to Kennel Vale, another abandoned mining site with a dark history, describing the same heavy dread in both places. Not a staged haunt, but a real, unsettling weight. Thankfully, she trusted her instincts and got out safely. Situations like this are a reminder. Always listen to your gut. Nomad Unknown is a solo female traveler who shares her car camping and hiking adventures across the country. Her content is raw and honest, offering viewers an unfiltered look at the highs and lows of van life, solo travel, and living off the grid. Most of her journeys are peaceful, empowering, even calming, but this trip along the wild Alia Trail in Louisiana's Kisatchie National Forest took a dark and unexpected turn.
This trail I'm out here hiking is in the Kisatchie National Forest in Louisiana, and it's called the Wild Azalea Trail, and it's arguably the best trail in Louisiana. So, pretty excited. It should also be the season for azaleas. So hopefully we'll get to see some beautiful azaleas in bloom and just restore my mental health.
She set out as usual, eager for a simple overnight camp to reset her mental state. The area was quiet. Birdsong filled the air, and wild alis bloomed along the trail. Not long after starting, she mentioned encountering 3 young men who were backpacking, and a little later, she spotted another man alone, carrying nothing but a water bottle. At first, there was nothing overtly alarming about him, but then she saw him again, and unease began to settle in.
Getting out, started on the trail now. It's pretty quiet out here. It's lovely with the birds singing, and every now and then the wind comes through. When I was still getting ready at the trailhead, I encountered 3 young men who are out backpacking on this trail as well, and they let me know that a couple of them had done this trail before.
Her first sighting of the man was back at the trailhead where she had parked. She was still gathering her gear when he appeared, but upon seeing her, he immediately turned and walked back onto the trail. Later, she noticed him again, approaching from behind while she hiked, still carrying nothing but the water bottle. No pack, no gear. He startled her, and she stepped aside to let him pass. He offered a brief, quiet hi before continuing on. As she ventured deeper into the trail, unease began to build. She had now seen the same man 4 separate times, and something about him felt wrong. It wasn't just the repeated appearances. It was the energy he carried, the gut feeling she couldn't shake, warning her that something was off.
You ever just come across somebody and the energy is just off? That is what's been happening to me a little bit today. I'm about 3 miles in and I found this spot that I would really love to camp. But just as I was getting here, I saw somebody that I've seen twice already today. The first time I saw him, he only had a water bottle in his hand, no backpack or anything. And I saw him at the trailhead where I parked my car as I was still pulling things out of my car. And at that point, as soon as he saw me, he sort of turned around and headed back onto the trail. I've seen him 4 times, I just realized. And then I saw him as I was hiking. I'd started with my pack up the trail, and he came from behind me, still with just the water bottle. And I didn't hear him at first, but it kind of startled me a little bit. So I moved over to let him go past, and that time was the first time I said, "Oh, hello." And he just said, "Hi." The next time I saw him, he was at a crossroads, and it looked like he was loading things into his car to leave. But I guess he was pulling a backpack out, because even though I didn't say anything to him at that point.
Eventually, she stumbled upon a quiet clearing near a bridge and considered setting up camp. It was a bit exposed, but peaceful. Then her eye caught another spot just across the trail, more hidden, more secure, slightly off the beaten path. As she moved toward it, something unusual caught her attention: a trail camera. At first, she assumed it belonged to the Park Service or a local nature enthusiast. But as she drew closer, the reality sank in. The camera wasn't aimed at a game path or anything natural. It was pointed directly at the campsite she had been about to set up, her backpack still sitting there. The unease hit her instantly. In her own words, "Strike 1, weird energy. Strike 2, trail cam pointed at my camp. I'm getting out before strike 3.
That's where I was gonna camp. Like, that's an established campsite. Looks like this one is too, but what the heck is going on here? First, weird energy. Second, a trail cam pointed at a campsite? Ugh. I think 1 strike, 2 strike. I gotta get out of here before 3 strikes and I'm out. I'm out of here. I should say this because I don't think I covered it in the video, because when I hiked over there from the first campsite, so we'll call campsite 1, and the one with the camera is campsite 2. So I went from campsite 1 over to campsite 2, just kind of an exploratory thing. And the reason it actually took me a little while to decide to go over there is because there were like clear obstructions in the path, like logs covering the path. A lot of time that might be set up by Forest Service to say, like, this is not a trail, don't go down here. I just felt like I needed to go explore it. There was poison ivy I had to avoid. It's not too dense where I couldn't avoid it. And I had to go over a couple of logs and stuff like that. But it's almost like they don't want somebody going over there, right? But is it because they don't want somebody to discover the camera? It doesn't feel scary. Like, I'm not scared. I'm actually angry because it feels violating. It feels like a threat in that way, where it's a violation of privacy. And I'm just like, what the?
It was in that moment that everything clicked. The man, his repeated appearances, the water bottle, and the fact that he had no backpack at first, but later reappeared with one. It all added up. Could he have followed her, watched where she stopped, and then planted the trail camera while she was nearby? It's impossible to prove, but the timing and placement were far too precise to ignore. This wasn't just a case of bad vibes or overthinking. A woman alone in the woods had repeatedly encountered a man with no apparent reason to be there, and discovered that her intended campsite was being actively monitored by someone who clearly knew where she was and where she planned to sleep. She did the smart thing, packed up, turned around, and left. There was no confrontation, no chase, no dramatic reveal, but that's exactly what makes it so unsettling. She caught it early, trusted her instincts, and walked away. But it raises the question, what if she hadn't? What if she had stayed just one more night? What do you make of this encounter? Let me know. Sydney, a solo traveler and content creator, has chronicled her journeys across countless campsites and national parks in the U.S. capturing both the peaceful and unpredictable sides of life on the road. Known for her calm and relatable style, she usually embraces the solitude that comes with solo adventures. But on this particular night in the Tennessee wilderness, that solitude took a darker, more unsettling turn. She had returned to one of the very first sites where she had ever camped alone, intending the trip to be a nostalgic journey. After stocking up on supplies for the week, Sydney drove deep into the forest, following a narrow, winding road that carried her miles from any sign of civilization. The campsite she selected was simple and remote, with only 2 official spots available, and when she arrived, it was completely deserted.
There's nobody here. I'm gonna get out and take a gander and make sure everything's like safe, and I might drive down there, but I might take the top spot too. I don't know yet. That's where my friend Grace camped when I was camping down here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna come down to this spot. I'm so glad it's open.
She set up her camp near her car, accustomed to the occasional distant traffic or other campers moving about. Tonight, however, there was only the faint rustle of leaves and the occasional plop of fish jumping in the nearby water. She prepared a simple dinner of rice and chicken, but as she cooked, the quiet was suddenly pierced by a sharp, strange sound coming from deeper within the trees.
Is that? What was that?
Anyways, dinner is served. I really hope that wasn't like a mountain lion or something. But I'm not gonna let it scare me to stay in my car. I packed all my stuff up so that if I do need to like just close this, I only have this to move, but you know what I'm thinking? What if it was Bigfoot and that was like a deer that he was eating and it was like making noises because the deer is scared? That was so weird. I heard it move too. It like moved from like there to over there. I think my saving grace is that I know there are other campers back here, so I feel better about that. I'm not completely alone out here.
It wasn't just a casual animal noise. It was sharper, heavier, and more deliberate. The sound came again, louder and closer this time. Trying to stay calm, Sydney reasoned it could be a deer, or maybe another camper she hadn't noticed. Still, it didn't sound natural. It lacked the quick, darting movements of a small animal, uneasy but determined. She finished her dinner and went through her usual routine, even nervously joking that maybe Bigfoot had been drawn by the smell of food. Yet deep down, she couldn't shake the sense that something was off. Adding to her anxiety was the absence of any other campers. No lights, no voices, despite reports that people were supposed to be deeper in the forest. Recognizing caution as her best defense, Sydney quickly reorganized her camp, packing up most of her belongings and leaving only the essentials within reach. She prepared her car for a rapid escape, positioning everything so she could lock the doors and drive away in seconds. Though the night passed without any direct confrontation, Sydney was left with more questions than answers. For seasoned campers like her, one truth remains. Sometimes the most dangerous things in the woods aren't what you see, but what stays hidden, close enough to hear, but far enough to never reveal itself. As always, let me know your thoughts on this encounter. On February 2nd, 2025, the YouTuber enthusiast uploaded a video detailing her experience, attempting to camp alone in an unfamiliar location. What she had hoped would be a peaceful night under the stars quickly turned into a tense and unsettling encounter, ultimately forcing her to abandon her campsite and retreat to safety. Leslie arrived at the site later than planned, with dusk already settling over the landscape. She parked her car in a remote area and made her way toward the designated camping spot. As she moved through the terrain, she noticed several warning signs indicating that diseased trees were being removed. This meant the area was largely deserted, though there remained the possibility of encountering other wanderers who, like her, had ignored the caution tape.
Bridleway diversion route. Well, I'm not on a horse, so am I allowed? Bridleway closed. We're felling the diseased and dying ash trees along this bridleway. Oh my goodness, I've only just come here once. I just need to just skirt around the edge of this. Great. That means I'll be all alone, except if other naughty people who are willing to go through tape come down here. Oh, let's have a look at where I'm going.
Despite the eerie silence, she pressed on, setting up camp in a secluded spot overlooking the valley below. The isolation quickly became palpable. The nearest house was about 500 meters away, and above her, the night sky stretched vast and empty. At first, the solitude felt peaceful, but that sense of calm shifted when she spotted a figure moving in the valley below, their torchlight slicing through the darkness. Instinctively, Leslie turned off her own light, hoping to remain unseen. Initially, she assumed the person was merely passing through, but instead of continuing on their path, they began heading back in the direction of her tent. A sudden wave of unease washed over her as she realized how exposed she truly was. Without hesitation, she grabbed only the essentials, her phone, keys, and jacket, and abandoned the tent, seeking cover among the nearby trees.
I'd put my hat on. Don't know if you can see that, but there's somebody walking down the bottom of the valley there with a torch. I'm sure they're fine and innocent, but I've turned all my lights off until they've walked by. That person with the torch going along, I was about to set the camera up and I was about to say, oh, I'm on a hilltop and I can see they're about to leave the valley, so that's good. But they didn't. They came back and sort of towards the tent, and I just thought, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. The camera is what I was worried about. First time I've used this, Insta360. My first ever camera. It's funny how I was packing that, wanting to make sure that was okay. And my hip belt I wear, so it's got my mobile and keys, so I just got my rucksack on and left the tent and hid down in the trees to make sure they went, because I also wanted to check what they were doing rather than just, me leaving. And eventually they left. I don't know, I was spooked by then. So I found a different spot. I'll show you this spot, just about 10 minutes around the corner, but it's a different valley, so what's the chances they're not going to come back?
Minutes passed before the figure finally moved on. Even then, Leslie stayed hidden, making sure they were truly gone before emerging. Though she could have returned to her tent, the sense of safety had already been shattered. Rather than risk another unsettling encounter, she relocated to a different spot just a short walk away, carefully staying out of view from where she had been seen. As she settled into her second campsite, the adrenaline from the earlier moments began to fade. The sky had cleared, revealing a breathtaking alignment of Venus, Jupiter, and Mars. She took it as a small sign to remain calm, even as the lingering discomfort persisted. Determined to salvage the night, she tried to rest, but the new sight was uneven and uncomfortable, the bumpy ground making proper sleep impossible. The experience had left her on edge, the tension of the evening hanging heavily over her.
do. I'm 10 minutes away, but I feel safe because it's just a different tucked away corner. I'm just looking down on the ridgeway. I don't know, I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to go back to the car and give up. I know that everyone says, oh, follow your instincts and do that. When I saw this, I thought, no, I'm going to be here, at least for the evening. I think it's so rough and bumpy here, I'm not sure I can sleep. So I'm going to have dinner, practice with the camera, and see how I feel when it comes to bedtime. Okay, I'll get the food on. I've just been looking outside the tent, and I'm not going to leave just yet, because it is a special night, really. You've heard about the planets being all in a line, but the three I can see, Venus, the evening star, is so bright over there. Just up ahead is Jupiter, and Mars, which I've never really known about before, but Mars, it's so red. That's over in the east. So I feel safe and secure to stay now that I've seen those planets and had a little drinky. But I'm in an incredibly difficult pitch. It's completely lumpy and sideways. I just didn't want to go back to the car, so I was all stubborn. But it's awful. It's like I've just got my mat down to lie on.
Making it difficult to fully relax, Leslie struggled to convince herself that she could endure the night. No matter how determined she was to stick it out, the lingering fear of who or what had been near her first campsite refused to fade. Eventually, she made the decision to pack up and leave. The walk back to her car was heavy with thoughts of the evening. Was the figure simply an innocent passerby, or had they noticed her presence and deliberately returned? Perhaps the most unsettling part of the entire experience was the uncertainty itself, the unknown that hovered over every step of her retreat. The YouTuber known as the Abandoned Camper shared a suspenseful stealth camping and SLB backpacking experience in this video. Driven by her adventurous spirit and fascination with the unknown, she chose an unconventional and daring location, the vicinity of an abandoned cemetery. While her initial goal was simply to document the experience and explore the eerie site, unsettling events quickly forced her to cut the trip short. She begins by outlining her plan to stealth camp near the old cemetery. The choice of location is both intriguing and ominous. Cemeteries naturally evoke unease, and the fact that this one is partially abandoned heightens the tension. Part of the cemetery is still active, used for modern burials, while another section has fallen into disrepair and neglect, giving it a hauntingly deserted atmosphere. The abandoned camper sets up her campsite away from prying eyes, fully aware of the need for stealth, and begins her exploration during daylight, giving her a chance to navigate the area and capture its eerie ambiance before nightfall. Once her campsite is ready, she embarks on her next mission to explore the abandoned section of the cemetery.
Sounds like the birds are starting to hunker down for the night. There's fireflies around already. So, I think that means it's time to explore.
Her curiosity drives her as she examines the neglected graves and crumbling structures. While daylight offers a small sense of security, she notes the unsettling atmosphere, a quiet, foreboding energy that seems to linger over the abandoned site. As the sun sets and darkness descends on the cemetery, the environment transforms. Shadows lengthen, silence deepens, and the isolation intensifies the eerie ambiance. During her exploration, a chilling scream suddenly echoes through the cemetery, shattering the stillness in a way that feels both unnatural and deeply alarming. The scream could have come from an animal, a human, or something unexplainable, but it's enough to unnerve her and suggest the presence of others in the area. She begins to wonder whether people frequent the cemetery at night, perhaps using the abandoned grounds for parties, pranks, or other activities. As darkness deepens, the abandoned camper becomes increasingly aware that she is not alone. The chilling scream is soon followed by signs that a group of people may be deliberately targeting or harassing her. Their presence is especially unsettling because they carry no headlamps or other visible sources of light, moving stealthily through the forest, blending into the shadows around her.
I'll finish my exploring tomorrow morning, and because there seems to be still a lot of stuff here. See? Hear them? I think they know I'm here. That's not good. Fuck. I'm gonna keep this recording, just in case. But I'm also gonna stop and find out what they're doing, if they're actually watching me or not. Well, I can see them. Maybe they're just walking through. Hopefully. I just don't want them to see where I'm going. Okay. I think they're gone. Let's keep going.
This behavior raises unsettling questions about their intentions, whether they are merely wandering through the area or deliberately trying to intimidate her. She reflects on her unease, struggling to balance her original goal of documenting the experience with the growing sense of danger. Returning to her campsite is a practical choice, offering some relative safety, yet the persistent feeling of being watched and the proximity of the mysterious group make it clear that the situation is spiraling beyond her control. The abandoned camper lights a fire and begins preparing food, attempting to reclaim a sense of normalcy. However, the group's presence remains invasive, their movements drawing ever closer. Feeling increasingly threatened, she decides to extinguish the fire, knowing that any light could reveal her location and escalate the danger.
I just had to put out the fire because there are people walking around back here. They don't have headlamps on, but like I said in my last video, I do not like being around people in the middle of a forest, especially when it's dark out. So I might pack up and get out of here.
Putting out the fire, a vital source of warmth, light, and comfort, symbolizes her growing vulnerability and the shift in priorities from exploration to survival. Her apprehension about being around unfamiliar people in a secluded forest is a recurring theme. The group's movements, combined with their lack of visible light, make them particularly unnerving. The uncertainty of their intentions, whether harmless, mischievous, or genuinely threatening, forces her to reassess her plans. The forest, once a place of intrigue and mystery, has become a potential source of danger. Recognizing the risks of staying overnight, the abandoned camper makes the difficult but prudent decision to pack up and leave. She moves quickly and efficiently, leaving no trace behind, adhering to a core principle of stealth camping. Her choice to prioritize safety serves as a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of such adventures. While the thrill of exploring abandoned locations is part of the appeal, the presence of others with unknown motives shifts the experience from exciting to dangerous. Ending the trip early underscores the importance of putting personal safety above completing an adventure. Throughout the ordeal, the abandoned camper demonstrates resourcefulness and adaptability, making quick decisions to protect herself in an increasingly unpredictable situation. What began as an effort to document the abandoned cemetery transforms into a lesson in caution, highlighting the reality that even experienced adventurers must recognize when circumstances have become too risky.